This is the Concord Municipal Affordable Housing Trust. It's Tuesday, November 21st, 2023. It is 5:05 p.m. and we'll begin with a call to order by roll call. Linda Escobedo, not here. Mike Lawson.
Present.
Present. Rich Feely is not here. Carrie LaFleur.
Present.
Present. Keith Bergman, present. Okay. Next item is approval of minutes, and I had prepared a set. Let me think about it now. That we may not. I don't think we have enough to vote on them. We don't have enough of a quorum. Only two of us that are here were at the meeting, at the last meeting. So I will put those off for a future meeting.
Okay.
Next is preparations for the Concord Housing Roundtable. Next meeting is December 11th, 2023. That's a Monday at 7 p.m. We announced that there will be two items of business there. MBTA communities zoning and housing production plan, as well as updates from the various groups. I had a couple of questions. One is, I guess I'm not sure if that is an in-person meeting or a hybrid rather, or is it just virtual? Might be nice if it's a Monday night that the select board is not meeting. I don't know if that means that space in the townhouse would be available on that Monday at 7 o'clock. And if so, whether we'd want to try a hybrid meeting at a location like that. Or do I think I'd like to propose that, and for those who can't be there, they could be on the big screen. Any thoughts on that? We don't have to resolve it tonight, but
So Keith, I'm just looking on the calendar and I see the finance committee has meeting that evening, 7 to 8:30 in the big room.
Oh, okay, so on that Monday evening, the finance committee is there. Okay.
Yeah, Harvey Wheeler worked pretty well last time we did that.
It did. It worked well for us. It hasn't worked so well for the Zoning Board of Appeals lately, but I think they have some but they're, we can explore it anyway and see if that's possible. So that would, so we'll see if that is an option. Are there other topics that we might want to bring up before the Housing Roundtable folks? I mean, I imagine that we'll be updating the group on, among updates that we or others might do would be the status of legislation affecting the housing funding, the governor's housing bond bill, which has some policy matters, including a real estate transfer fee and
Updates on the 40Bs probably.
Yeah, and that's good. Updates on the 40Bs as well. That would be a good thing to put on the agenda. I came across something just yesterday I was on a Zoom call that the Mass Municipal Association was doing on the legislative update, and they called to our attention, those on the call, something I had missed entirely, that in the bill the governor signed in October, essentially granting first tax cut in memory. Tucked away in that bill were, among other things, was a local option property tax exemption for year-round rental properties, for year-round affordable rental properties. Hadn't heard of it before in that legislation, although I have to say, a generation ago, I had something like that that we did in Provincetown. We called it rewarding good behavior, is what we called it, because it wasn't the level of the exemption that we could offer back then would not have altered behavior on the part of a landlord to rent a unit that's affordable if they could do it market rate. But maybe under the topic of legislative update to include some of those things as well.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So moving on then to the main event, updating date on the housing production plan. You recall on November 7th, the trust took a couple of votes to amend the list of priority projects on the housing production plan by adding the two proposals that had submitted a request to the Community Preservation Committee for fiscal 2025, that by agreement among those groups, the Housing Authority and the CHDC and the trust, we created a path for those two projects to apply for trust funding in fiscal 2024 rather than waiting for fiscal 2025 and the community preservation. And all I can say is when I briefed the Community Preservation Committee about that development at their meeting last week on the November 14th, they were thrilled. I think they were sort of faced with the dilemma of what do they do to figure out which of the competing proposals totaling $1.2 million for housing, which should they do, and can't the housing groups agree amongst themselves? And so, as we mentioned last time, from Mike Lawson getting us together for coffee one morning, we figured it out, and so both the CHDC and the Housing Authority were invited to submit proposals for their projects, and the Housing Authority has submitted theirs right away. CHDC will be doing it, but they're tied up. They're working right now on requests for proposals for Assabet, River Bluff, and Junction Village, and a bunch of other things. So they will soon be submitting their application for funding as well. But tonight we have the application from the CHA Local Properties LLC, which was also the applicant for the CPC funds for the CHA's property acquisition program. And we have Jennifer Polito here from the Housing Authority, and I'd be glad to have you just remind us what is in front of us. And thanks for coming back.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Keith. I apologize for Rick. I know he's been traveling and he's the brains behind all of our development stuff. So I'm sorry he's not here. So we had started discussing purchasing new property kind of a while back. We had formed our LLC back in 2022 when we repositioned 18 of our federal public housing units. By forming the LLC, it's given the Housing Authority a pot of money that would like to see grow into new units in the town. So what our plan hopefully is if we could acquire a 1 or 2 bedroom condominium in town, we could attach a project-based voucher to it. So the Housing Authority has vouchers that the LLC could apply to. It's a little bit confusing hand in hand. It would attach a subsidy to the unit. So the tenant would have have a voucher, but it would stay with the project. And then the subsidy would fund the remaining rent. What that does is it gets it on the SHI as part of a subsidy program. It also acquires more funding for the housing authority in order to continue looking at units. So kind of our plan was to ask for 400,000. Our hopes was to kind of find something at 6 and then maybe 50 towards closing costs and maybe something that we might need to do to it. I know Rick has been in touch already with a realtor and has just been looking for condos. So this would give us the ability to jump on something and add another unit to the town as part of the production plan and part of our housing authority goal, which is to continue providing affordable housing.
Thanks, Jennifer. And I'll call on Mike just to remind, Mike sort of framed very well, I think, how the trust should be approaching these two applications. And I'd like to call on Mike to just weigh in here.
Thanks, Keith. Yeah, I think as we looked at potential housing going forward in Concord, one of our key objectives was to be able to have affordable housing spread all over town, just like other kinds of housing. And so empowering the housing authority with the funds so that they could act quickly on this, I think is a particularly wise move for us to support the trust. So I'm glad to see the proposal.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. Any comments, Carrie, on this application?
No, thanks, Keith.
Very good. It's for our I'd say this proposal, this application and the CHDCs that will soon follow have been pretty well vetted, that you've gone through a much more public process than over a longer period of time with the CPC with this project. I've seen and saw the presentation that was made to them at their public meetings. The application has been out there for quite a while, so it's I think it's in our so and I'm glad that we were able to put it on our list too.
We were too.
And so that we can present a united front to the, for me, I think it makes all of the housing groups look better to be working together and supporting each other. And so I'm glad that we could take the step last time of adding both of those projects to our priority list and are able to advance them. Now, I see Stephen Bader from the Housing Authorities on the call now, and we're just reviewing the application for $400,000 for the local properties program. So, we're getting ready for a motion, and so I'll turn to Mike. Would you the motion that I would suggest is for would be to move that the trust vote pursuant to the trust funding guidelines to approve CHA Local Properties LLC's application for $400,000 in trust CPA funds for the property acquisition program pursuant to Housing Production Strategy number 3, and further to authorize the chair to execute a grant agreement and set amount with CHA Local Properties LLC, subject to approval as to form by town council.
I couldn't have said it better.
Very
So
good.
moved.
So a motion by Mike. Is there a second by Carrie?
Second.
Very good. And is there discussion? All right, and what I'll mention that the form, we passed a similar motion at our last meeting when we approved a grant agreement, funding in a grant agreement for the CHDC small grant program. And so we're following that format tonight. All right, so let's do a roll call vote on that motion. Mike,
Aye.
Harry,
Aye.
and Keith, aye. So that passes by unanimous vote.
Thank you very much.
Thanks
Thanks for your
Thanks very
time.
much.
Thanks for allowing
Thank you.
us to apply.
And
The
will-
next step will be,
can
I was not
can
able,
I just interject to ask Jennifer, will you folks then notify the CPC
Yes,
and to withdraw your application?
yes, absolutely. I'll actually do that right now.
Thank you very much.
Very
Thank
good.
you very much.
Thanks so
Happy
much.
Thanksgiving, everyone.
Thanks.
Same
Just
to-
let me say, our next step will be, and I'm sorry I didn't have it ready for tonight, but would be to execute the form of a grant agreement, which I'm authorized to sign, and I was able to have town council review the agreement we drew up following our last meeting with the CHDC, and we'll have a similar agreement that we'll prepare for the CHA LLC. There will, since it involves real estate, there'll be the specific requirement of a deed restriction at 80% of AMI, and which the CHDC's $50,000 grant last week did not require, but this one will, and CHDC's grant that they get for their buy down program would also require that. So very good. So we'll be
That's great.
in touch. Thanks for thinking of us.
No, thank you for thinking of us.
And don't be a stranger, I'm sure. And we're glad to support the great work that you do. And so more power to you.
Thank you so much.
Much.
All right. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next is, I'll just give a quick update. Well, we do have Ray Andrews here, who's on the CHDC board. So we'll say hello, Ray. He may be nearby, but I just.
Ray says hello.
Very good. Hello. I was at the CHDC's meeting this morning and just wanted to give a lot of things going on, and I just wanted to offer a quick update, and would be glad to have Ray add to that. First, on the CHDC buy down program, as I mentioned earlier, we have invited CHDC to submit a grant application. I know that they're tied up with other things, and they will be submitting it, and we can see that at a future meeting. The small grants program, I do have the form of a grant agreement that's approved by council, and I just need to have that to hear back from CHDC if that's in a final form that they're good with. The CHDC's application to the Zoning Board of Appeals for planned residential development on Assabet River Homes, a project we're very interested in. The 3 new units. It's actually dividing the 1 acre into dividing it up so that the 3 new units, I guess, can be under different ownership than the existing 2-family. And that will be the subject of a public hearing that opens on December 14th at the ZBA, and will likely be either continued, maybe even concluded. I don't know, but it would also be on the January 11th, 2024 meeting. And and I deferred to Ray on this, but from this morning's CHDC meeting, I know that it looks like at their December 5th meeting, they will be approving the form of requests for proposals, both for Assabet and Junction Village, and then to be moving forward with that. Did I leave out anything, Ray?
Well, I think the December 5th meeting is a little tentative in terms of speaking to town council to get those both approved, both the Assabet River Homes and the Junction Village RFPs. So yeah,
Okay,
the
that's-
expectation, I think that was a hope, and I think the more cautious hope is more cautious expectation is for the meeting in January to approve the
Okay.
RFP for both of those.
Okay,
Did
and
I
that they would,
misunderstand the question?
no, that's it. I think I wonder if that December 5th might be the deadline for having a document that's ready for town council to review. And then
Yes, we're gonna have a meeting on
and it might-
December 5th, and yes. Oh, yes,
Yeah,
right,
and then
that's for the
that's-
town council, yes, right, not ready to
Right,
send
and-
out, but ready for the town council to review, yes.
Right.
sorry.
So in all likelihood, it might be January by the time that
Yes,
that the RFP is issued, and I know you've got a schedule. Actually,
Right.
you had a tentative schedule with some dates in January for things like site visits and
right, released by January,
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
so
released January
there-
8th, I think, or January 8th, and
right.
and proposals to come back by February 16th, I believe it is.
Very good. So you're moving ahead. So that's great. Great to see that progress. Thanks so much to Ray and the CHDC.
Well, thanks for your direction and support.
Thank you. Not to leave out the town, there are two projects that the trust has on its radar screen for the town, just to mention the 91B Main Street surplus state property and funds which may be needed for a development agreement between the town and the Novo Riverside Commons 40B. And when I know when those things are ready to come to us, we'll be ready. I don't know if you have any update, Carrie, on been hearing about meetings with MHP regarding the 91B Main Street, and I think Liz Rust updated us last time about maybe a favorable or an enthusiastic nod from the housing secretary over that she was hoping might produce an answer sooner rather than later.
Yeah, Keith, unfortunately, I don't have anything specific on that.
Okay,
I do know I have about a dozen emails related to these two different things that I haven't looked at yet.
okay.
We've been all consumed with last night's select board meeting.
Oh, I can imagine. You'll be picking up the pieces for a while, so very good. So, but we're here and are happy to be as supportive as we can. And is there a timetable yet for ARPA funding, or any thought about when?
Well, there isn't, what we ended up thinking would work best is to split the fiscal 25 ARPA allocation in half and say that we would program 50% of it within the town's existing 5-year capital improvement plan, and that 50% of it would be set aside for this special funding round. And we are, again, Keith, I know you're well aware, we have a new CFO who's doing a terrific job. We think we're going to be closing out the CIP proposal next week, And then we would be able to push out an ARPA, this special ARPA. And, you know, the nice thing about it is, you know, we will talk about it at the select board level, but there's no town meeting approval required. So we have a lot more flexibility than we do with some of these other things.
Right.
So
Very
I
good.
think, I just, I thought we could move some of these things a little faster and we just haven't, but again, you haven't missed out. We haven't missed out on it.
Right. Thanks so much. And I know there's a lot on your plate, and now there's a lot on Anthony Ansaldi's plate too, so.
It's getting so much better. I can't tell you how much better my life has
That's
been in
great.
the last month. I mean, two of the weeks I spent in Greece, so.
Oh, that's great. Well, that's a good sign. Very good. Well, that's great. Thanks so much for the update. And other things going on, the MBTA community zoning, the planning board will next be discussing that at their meeting on November 28th at 7 o'clock. It's a week from tonight. And they have a draft overlay map, and I know that they're working on the text of their town meeting article. And on chapter 40, the updates, the select board voted last night to send the town comments in to Mass Housing for the Thorough Residences LLC site application, and that the trust letter, along with letters from other groups, were included in what the select board sent on. So that's appreciated. Any other, and that's all I got. I'm wondering if there's any other updates that we have on matters housing. All right, well, is there public comment? Unlike a select board meeting. So, very good. All right. And I think we're for the trust next meeting, how would 2 weeks from tonight be? That would be Tuesday, December 5th. And the housing roundtable, as I said earlier, is Monday, December 11th. So that might be one last meeting that we could have before the roundtable. Does that work for?
Works for me.
Works for Mike. Does it work for Carrie?
Yes.
That's a yes. Okay. So, all right. So with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Motion by Mike is second by Carrie.
And
And we'll take a vote on that motion. Mike,
Aye.
Carrie,
I
and Keith, aye. So the motion passes unanimously. It is 5:33.